We're going to answer the question, are CDDs tax deductible? Spoiler alert, for most people they're not. However, we'll talk a little bit about the tax implications and everything that you need to know about CDD fees. But first of all, we should probably talk about what a CDD fee actually is. For most people, this isn't going to ever apply. However, a CDD is also known as a Community Development District, and it's a construct of Florida statute. CDDs have existed for over 100 years in the state of Florida, but they don't seem to really do have a lot of standing outside the state of Florida. So a community development district has special authority under Florida statutes to assess fees that are kind of like taxes, but they're really more along the lines of a special assessment. So let's take a look at what a CDD actually does. So under Florida law, a CDD is a special purpose government framework. They exist in communities as an alternative to municipal incorporation. For example, I live just outside of Tampa, Florida, in a community development district known as West Chase. And so as a governmental entity, the West Chase CDD usually has 5 elected officials, and this would be the Board of Supervisors. They usually have professional management that see day-to-day operations. And some of those operations include maintaining land or personal property that belongs to the CDD that's inside the geographic boundaries. They create regulations and rules and bylaws. They can obtain funds by issuing municipal bonds the way a city, state, or county government would. They impose assessments on property owners within the district to perform certain projects, whether it's maintaining waterways pursuant to Florida law. CDDs are responsible for maintaining the health and cleanliness of the waterways within their CDD. So retention ponds, streams, things of that nature. Maintaining natural designations such as wetlands and ensuring the proper maintenance of that property. So a CDD can enter into, modify, or terminate contracts that are designed for the purpose of preserving that property. There are 2 types of CDD charges. So when a community such as West Chase is being developed, the developer actually may use the CDD construct in order to issue bonds or be able to issue bonds in coordination with the local county government. For example, when West Chase was created about 30 years ago, there were a series of bonds that were issued that the West Chase CDD used to, or the developer used to create the infrastructure such as, water, sewage, irrigation, things of that nature, lighting, like public lighting for street lights and things of that nature. So to build all of that infrastructure, the CDD issued bonds to help ease the accessibility requirements for the developer. And then after the developer has built the houses, there's a transition into a post-development, more of a maintenance role. So now that the infrastructure is all in place, the CDD currently exists to maintain that infrastructure. There's a couple of parks, for example, that are county parks within Hillsborough County, but the CDD, the West Chase CDD, is responsible for the maintenance, the beautification, upkeep, and upgrades to the parks. Other things might be things like beautification, um, so landscaping throughout the CDD. If there are private communities that are gated, the CDD will be responsible for road and sidewalk maintenance of those gated communities. And there's a lot more clear guidance under Florida statute on how CDDs are able to do that. But to do that costs money. CDDs have authority under Florida statute to charge fees, and those fees are designed to keep the CDD able to pay bills, but they're not profit. So again, here are some of the lists of things that you can see in a CDD fee. So conservation areas, district roads and street lighting, parks and recreation facilities, water management. These are all things that would be covered in a CDD fee. The CDD maintains an annual budget through a series of monthly meetings. Items will be publicly discussed about, what the CDD needs to do in the coming year. They create a budget, and then they propose CDD fees to each resident within the community based on the neighborhood that person that those homeowners live in. If there's one gated neighborhood that needs to maintain or repair its gate and sidewalks versus another one that is publicly accessible that does not have those costs, then the CDD would properly calculate the charges to each neighborhood. So unfortunately for residential homeowners, only state and local property taxes are deductible when they're based on the assessed value of the property. These are known as ad valorem taxes. So CDD fees are known as assessments. They are non-ad valorem taxes, which means that under the tax code, CDD fees are not tax deductible for most homeowners when it comes to itemized deductions on Schedule A, right? So we're talking about first whether or not homeowners would be itemizing deductions on Schedule A. So if you don't itemize deductions on Schedule A, then you're not deducting any state or local property taxes, regardless of whether or not it's a CDD fee. But even if you are itemizing, you're still not able to deduct a CDD fee on Schedule A. However, if you own rental property, and you might be able to deduct CDD fees on Schedule E as a rental expense. So if you own rental real estate, CDD fees are part of the normal business expenses, and you should be able to deduct the fee on Schedule E from your income tax return. So there is a difference between CDD fees and HOA fees. In the state of Florida, there are similar laws, but really there are completely different laws that guide what a CDD can do versus what an HOA can do. They're both accountable within the state of Florida to protect the homeowners. However, the CDD actually has certain positional authority as almost like a quasi-governmental entity, whereas an HOA simply exists as a homeowners association. CDD directors are actually elected officials and subject to public election and subject to what is known in the state of Florida as sunshine laws, which means that any CDD business has to be discussed in a public forum, in a properly announced meeting that members of the community have access to, have an adequate notice to be able to attend, whereas HOAs are supposed to do their business in the open, but they're not as strictly regulated under the Sunshine Law. So there is a difference between CDD fees and HOA fees. You'll also see a difference in the amount. So, a CDD fee will actually be imposed by the county, even though it's calculated by a CDD. The CDD fee is almost actually tacked on as a county tax, whereas an HOA fee, you're usually paying that separately. So this was a question that was asked of me. Why are CDD fees bad? They're not really bad. They're an investment in infrastructure, compliance with state law, and they actually, when operated properly, a CDD manages to beautify a neighborhood. And we can see that within our community. As soon as we drive to another community, the ponds don't look as nice, the infrastructure isn't as well maintained because there's not a CDD that tells its constituents, this is what we're doing to make things better for you. So people think that CDD fees are bad to the extent that they see that there's not a benefit. But once you see a CDD community, you can kind of understand why they pay the extra fee. It's usually pretty evident. So, but long story short, CDD fees are not tax deductible on Schedule A. If you're a business owner and you have rental property within a CDD area, then you should be able to deduct CDD fees on Schedule E. If you want more information, we've written an at-length article about CDD fees and some of the background on their tax deductibility. You can find that in our article on teachmepersonalfinance.com. Simply go in to the search bar, type in CDD fees, and you should see the article pop up. If you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. And if you like our YouTube videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please hit me up in the comment section or send me an email. Thank you very much. Have a great day.